the boys who are playing. And before we begin, I would like to pay special tribute to our seniors. Of course, everyone contributed greatly to winning the championship, but I can't help but think that our seniors were the backbone of the outfit. And in any event, I shall always be very thankful of having had the opportunity of being associated with them. I would also like to pay special tribute to our coaching staff, to our assistants, because it's through their efforts that the job was done. I'd like to mention their names and familiarize you with them. Phil Cutchin, who's still with us, of course, and Willie Zappalak, Elmer Smith, Pat James, Sam Bailey, and then the very fine coaches that moved on to other schools, Jim Owens, Tom Tips, and Jerry Claiborne. And my wholehearted thanks to those men. Well, enough of this. Football at Aggieland, championship style, 1956. I don't imagine many people in the state of Texas thought in September that the Texas Aggies would win the conference championship. I wouldn't be honest if I didn't say that I was beginning to wonder about that time if we would beat anyone, because our pre-season practice was very unsatisfactory, and I was very much concerned. And of course, here when we're playing Villanova, and it's a good hot day, I think the weather helped us. And as you can see, Jimmy Wright is a quarterback there. Lloyd Taylor running with the ball, and is a very fine little football player, played well all the year. I think, though, in fairness to Villanova, that they might have beaten us or played us a much closer game had it not been so warm. Here's a fine play, one of the outstanding plays of the year, where Jimmy Wright goes back to pass. He's rushed, and he throws to Lloyd Taylor, who scores. And, of course, as you could see there, Bobby Keith made a very fine block. We were happy to win the ball game, believe me. Now we move on to Dallas, the Cotton Bowl, and some 8 of these boys, there were 8 to be exact, were welcomed at the same time we were, 1954, by Texas Tech, to the tune of, I believe, about 42-9. Thank heavens they didn't forget that, and I thought played a fine football game. Charlie Kruger there, one of the best linemen in the conference, caused that fumble. As you can see, they were after the ball. Beebe Stallings came up with it. Jimmy Wright to Pardee. We didn't have too much blocking there. It was a good warm night. Jimmy Wright's rolling out and throwing a pass into the end zone. That's one of our option passes. Practically everything we run will be an option. That, to me, was one of the perfect plays of the season when John Crow scored behind fine blocking down there by Bobby Marks. And, of course, the point of attack blocking was by Bobby Keith and Bobby Lockett. Keith recovered the fumble there, and Marks throws to Watson, and I think it's probably Little Don Watson made the greatest catch there that I've ever seen. This wasn't our best game. I don't mean to take anything away from the University of Houston, because they played very well. However, I believe that our boys played well enough to win, and probably would have won had I made the right decision on the goal line when we had 4th down and 4 with about 20 seconds to go. Lloyd Taylor, our kicker, was in the ball game, and the percentage play was to kick. There's no doubt about that, but I did not direct the team to do that, and it was a 14-14 tie. As you can see here, a whole host of our players blocked this kick. John Tracy, sophomore end, fell on it for the touchdown. As you know, had Houston fallen on it, why it would have been a safety and only 2 points. That's Jack Pardee running with the football. He's a great player, as you know, a great leader. Jack was injured in this game, and it handicapped him greatly the rest of the year. Roddy Osborne faked to Pardee and suckered the whole team and scored standing up. Roddy is a junior, very fine runner, and we thought came through very well at quarterback last year. We had other injuries in this game. Bobby Keith, our regular right end, his jaw was broken, and we lost him for the remainder of the year. Actually, Bobby could have played against the University of Thanksgiving. This, of course, is the game where it's probably the worst weather football game's ever been played in. At least it's the worst that I ever had anything to do with. This is Jim Swink running with the ball. TCU received, as you can see. The weather gets worse and worse. We get in worse position on the field every play. There you see the goal line, and that's Swink running with the ball. He's tackled very hard there by Charlie Kruger and Jack Pardee. I thought that our team displayed as much courage that day as any team I've ever seen, because many, many times they could have given up. Chuck Curtis couldn't find a receiver then and ran with it. And over there was Bobby Lockett. And I believe Roddy Osborne is working on the play. That's John Crow. Made a terrifically hard tackle then, knocked him loose from the ball, and we recovered. You can see now what the weather is really like. It just held them, and I wonder how anyone could expect to hold the ball out there. In any event, we fumbled it back to them and held the backs to the wall again. You can see even TCU's playing a little conservatively there, or he didn't get the ball cleanly. Now, this is Jim Swink running with it here and almost scores or gets down very close. And I didn't know whether we wanted the ball or not. Even if we had a chance to get it, didn't know what we'd do with it. Swink runs with the ball again. He's tackled with John Crow there on the goal line, along with Lloyd Taylor. And I believe we take over here. No, they have another play. Murray Trimble shot the gap very well then. Curtis is trying to help the referee. Roddy Osborne out there, one of the greatest kicks I've ever seen. You can see it goes about 50 yards into that wind. I was amazed because that's Swink with the ball there, because I didn't know. Boom, boom. Charlie Kruger knocked him loose from it, and it's knocked around on the ground a few times, but we did not get it. Now the sun is out, or at least not as bad as it was. It looked like the guard was offside. That's Swink running with the ball, and he's tackled over here, I believe, by Pardee and Lloyd Taylor. Yes, very nice gain. As I said earlier, you will see there are many fine plays by the opposition, but naturally we're just taking out the one of us. Here's their touchdown. Williams makes a great catch as he goes out of the end zone. It was questionable in some people's mind, as was a couple of Swink's runs. But anyway, it's 6 points. They missed the extra point. Curtis is back to pass down. Here's the championship play right here. Here's a play that won the championship. Little Don Watson, senior halfback, who played both halfbacks, made the interception. A great play. Don was a great little clutch player. Now we start our drive for the winning touchdown, and there's some really outstanding plays along the drive. This is John Crow, who changed jerseys at the half. It's very fine blocks. That was John Tracy down there. Pardee made one. Lloyd Hale made one. Dennis Gearing. All of them were giving it all they had. Here they come going to the other side now. Watson running with the ball. Cuts back, picks up his blockers. Beebe Stallings, Kenneth Beck, as John Tracy. And that's Beebe Stallings again. Murray Trimble is down there. Anyway, he ran about 40 yards to keep the drive alive. As you may recall, it was only a few minutes. That was one of the great plays of the game. They shot the gap, but Roddy Osborne was able to get the ball away to Crow, as Don Watson blocking number 22 all the way down there, and Crow takes it down about the 6-yard line. Now here comes the payoff. Don Watson, Pardee blocked the end. Don Watson throwing the running pass to John Crow for the touchdown. Incidentally, on that drive, all of those runs were the options. It could be a run or a pass. Here's the clutcher. Don Watson holding. Little Lloyd Taylor back to kick. Lloyd Hale has a great part in this, of course, the snapper back. Perfect snap, perfect hold, and should have been a penalty there for roughing the kicker, but we were mighty happy to get out of there with a 7-6 victory, believe you me. Big, strong Baylor, you know, was quite a football team, as they demonstrated in the Sugar Bowl. This is Bobby Lockett going back to rush along with Dennis Gearing. Made it possible for Roddy Osborne to intercept the pass and ran it back, put us in scoring position. D. Powell made a key block down there. John Crow running with the ball. John is a junior, as you know, from Spring Hill, Louisiana. Here's Osborne on the keeper play. Osborne ran the keeper play very, very well. As if you saw us play many times, you know that he's a very fine runner. This game was played at night, and I think it was the first time that Baylor had ever sold their stadium out. Lloyd Taylor's running with the ball here. Very fine play by Baylor there. As a matter of fact, you'll see a lot of fine plays by the other teams. This is Jack Pardee again running with the ball. I didn't start Jack on this particular evening, and we put him in, though, and he gave us quite a pickup. John Crow throws to John Tracy for a touchdown. A very well-executed play. Had them all fooled, I believe. Lloyd Taylor missed the kick as Bobby Watson was holding. Here's a very fine play. Roddy Osborne throws to Donnie Watson down in the corner. He's knocked out of bounds, literally knocked out of bounds, I might add, on the goal line there. We give the ball, he gives it to Jack Pardee, who takes it in for the score. And things are looking up, but not for too long. Watson holds. Now looky here. Feeling sorry for Taylor getting hit every time he kicks. Of course, he's not supposed to do that. That's Roddy Osborne running with the ball. Very fine running. John Tracy's down there throwing, and Bobby Lockett, good downfield block. Ooh, that was a honey. I believe that was Bobby Marks who made that play. Bobby's a junior from New Orleans. He'll be back next year. Their line out charged I was there, and we didn't get any ground. And very fine handoff then. Roddy was very fortunate to make it to John Crow, who picked up a couple of yards. They come right back with the same play against that gap 8 defense, and Crow goes in for the score. Now we go up to Arkansas. This is played in the evening or at night down at College Station. I think probably we made fewer mistakes than we'd made. They didn't make any mistake about hitting there. I mean, if you think they weren't hitting, you're mistaken. This is Roddy Osborne running on the keeper play. And, of course, picked up a few yards. Osborne was a great artist at containing the defense. There's a very fine pass here, of course, from John Crow scores. They were playing on a particular play they were in, revolving into a 9-man line, and Osborne faked the Pardee and threw for the touchdown. Now he's back passing again. He's him, starts to run with it, and somebody there knows how to tackle. Arkansas had a good football team. They're very quick. This is Jack Pardee running with the ball, and old Jack, he likes to get him a few yards. That's John Tracy throwing downfield. John Crow on what we call the inside belly play. And, of course, we run it a little different. It's not very fancy, I should say, the way we run it. Here goes Crow on the option pass for the touchdown. Actually, every time we run that play, or most of our wide plays, it's optional. You can either throw it or run it. Osborne held, and Taylor kicked the point. Now we move on up the Cotton Bowl in Dallas. Some people thought this was our best game. I don't know. Here's Taylor running a reverse play. I think SMU, offensively, we weren't getting off on the ball well enough. And they were calling defensive signals and calling our own signals. And it was a half before the officials did anything about it. And I thought here's a well-executed play. Very fine block by everyone there. Bobby Lockett, Lloyd Hale, John Tracy, and of course Crow ran very well. Dennis Gearing made a fine block on it. Goes in for our first touchdown. Here's a nice defensive play. I like to see that. That makes you sleep well. I think he'd slept pretty well, too, if 4 or 5 of them in. That's what we call gang tackling. We don't get a lot of that. We'd like to. And here's Dennis Gearing back rushing the passer, doing a fine job. It's intercepted by Bobby Conrad. Most of the interceptions will be caused by rushing. Kenneth Beck was bearing down there, as was Jim Stanley, trying to make a block. Actually, we didn't have many blocks on that play. But here comes Richard Gay running the ball. Richard is a junior, as you know. We have some throwing downfield now. That 81 is Don Smith is throwing down there. Bobby Conrad's at quarterback. He fakes to the fullback. That's some pretty good button there. Fakes to the fullback. We thought that they were keying on the fullback, particularly when Pardee was in. Here's a very fine play. Conrad makes a good block. Carlos Esquivel makes a good block. Conrad making the final, and Don Watson scores standing up. I think Beebe Stallings was in on that, along with Murray Trimble and Dee Powell. Dee Powell and Bobby Lockett were 2 of the most underrated football. That's Lockett now, and then Roddy Osborne came up to finish him off with a terrific play, I thought. Anyway, I thought Dee Powell and Bobby Lockett were underrated football players last year, because they were both very fine football players. That's Bobby Marks and John Crow back there breaking up the pass. And, of course, I think that Lloyd Taylor, our little halfback, John Tracy rushed the passer there then and caused him to throw the ball away. And as I was about to say, I think Lloyd Taylor, our little halfback, was a underestimated halfback, too. There's Richard Gay making a nice block as Crow keeps spinning and twisting. There's Lloyd Taylor making one. Crow breaks clean. And I couldn't tell who made that one, but I know they're all trying, and that's good enough for me. Crow was sick before this game. He had an upset stomach, and I like to think that maybe he gave out there instead of them catching him. Real fine play by Jim Stanley out there containing it, and here's him and Murray. Well, that's good run. Boo, I like that. Whoever made the tackle there, I believe it was Lloyd Hale. He tackled like Pardee, but I know Pardee wasn't in there right now. Don Watson on the punt return. We're trying to return the punt up the middle. Uh-oh. Piling on there. This is George Giller. George is a senior from Hatless. A great block there. That great block was by Beebe Stalling. Beebe was one of our very fine captains. Giller is a senior from Hatlettsville. Made a great run for the score, and actually, I didn't play Giller enough. He was a very fine runner, and we didn't think he was too strong on defense, but I think I should have played him a lot more. Jimmy Wright throws a sideline cut to Don Watson just as he steps out of bounds. This is Jimmy Net, quarterback now, and I believe that's Don Watson throwing the pass to Carlos Esquivel. Carlos is a junior from Edinburgh. Now Jimmy Wright makes a very fine play here. That's a nice block with Tommy Howard. He throws out to Don Smith in the end zone. Don makes a great catch, I thought. Don's a junior from Phillips. Rice Institute, I thought, outplayed us in the second half. Of course, our kids did have a 14-point lead, and that's good enough for me. That's Lloyd Taylor, who's always poisonous to Rice, running with the ball. Dennis Gearing down there blocking. Taylor made some very fine runs in this game. Here's some close-ups that you might enjoy. As you can see, they're putting their line in defensively so tight that we're cutting our splits down. That, of course, handicaps your offense, and that's good doings by Rice. That's John Crow running with the ball. Picks up a few yards. We would prefer not to cut our splits down, and, of course, they would prefer that we did, and it looks like they won that argument. Bobby Conrad's at quarterback. As a matter of fact, Bobby started quarterback. That's Jack Pardee. Jar and Jack Pardee. I almost said John Kimbrough, but I doubt I didn't see Kimbrough play too many times, but old Jack can go for my money. That was Lloyd Hale kicking the goal, and out in front. I don't mean to indicate at all that I don't think Kimbrough's a great player. He is a great friend of mine, but I'll have to stick with that's John Crow. Ooh, a very fine block there by Bobby Marks. Very fine block. There's one on the sideline for Lloyd Taylor. That was John Crow running with the ball. Jimmy Wright's at quarterback now. Lloyd Taylor coming out here on a reverse play. Here's Tracy making a block for him, and Lloyd takes it down to about the 1-yard line. I don't know whether Lloyd just gets the extra mad on for Rice or not. If he does, I hope he keeps it on for one more year. That's Pardee, and the fine play by the Rice defensive end there. He just whipped us all. That's poor coaching, though. I should have coached him a little better than that. Jimmy Wright carrying the ball on in to about the 1-yard line on a rollout. As a matter of fact, that play is also an option. He either throws it or runs it. And he hands off to Pardee, who dives over the middle behind Dee Powell, number 55, as you can see there. Dennis Gearing and Tommy Howard, Charlie Kruger, Bobby Lockett. I believe Bob Clendenin's in there now. Bob was another very fine senior. Lloyd Taylor kicks a point without his roommate Jimmy Wright holds. Lloyd will be back next year, thank the Lord, and so will Jimmy Wright for that matter. That's Bobby Conrad faking to the fullback and keeping the ball off. Actually, that's Gay in there now. We have that series more or less for Pardee because we feel like with Pardee going up the middle, it pulls their defense in. That's Bobby Conrad running the same play the other way. That's Trumbull there at number 64, as you can see. Very fine football player. Conrad's at quarterback now. They've gone into a 5-man line now, or looks like a 5. It's really about a 9. That's Lloyd Taylor. Bobby Conrad blocking for him. Lloyd Taylor. Ooh, there was a fine block downfield. I think it was Kenneth Beck. No, there's Beck, number 72. John is either Don Smith or John Tracy down there. Very fine block. And normally when you just look up and see a good block downfield, old Lloyd Hale will be someplace around because, as I've said on many occasions, Lloyd was probably the most underrated football player that's been in this conference in a long time. Oh, things are getting solemn now, and no wonder. This is over at Memorial Stadium in Austin, Texas. And believe you me, that was a big day in the hearts of all of us Aggies. That's Roddy Osborne throwing to Bobby Marks. Bobby was behind everyone. This was early in the game on our first drive, as you may recall. He was behind everyone, and his decision was to cut back. And, of course, it's a little tougher to make those decisions when you have just a split second and you're out there. And I think, though, if he'd kept going, he might have scored. Jack Pardee literally rolled one up there. That was the option play. John threw the ball, and we were penalized. Actually, he passed the line of scrimmage. I was hoping that he would go ahead and run with it. Here's Crow scoring the first touchdown. He runs over 2 men there. There's a nice block downfield. And he breaks out in the clear. That's Marks down there with him. Breaks out for the score. Very fine run. But John Crow. And, of course, as you'll see, it's only our good plays in here. Believe you me, Texas had a lot of fine plays, too. As a matter of fact, it took our best game to win. This is Roddy Osborne running with the ball on fake the party and keep it off tackle or inside the tackle. We're down there now. They're going into what you might call a 9-man line, if my arithmetic's any good. John Crow on the option, but they did a fine job. Didn't let our receivers out. John turned the corner and goes down to about the 3-yard line. He re-injured his leg. Here's the play. Roddy Osborne scoring after faking the Pardee. As a matter of fact, he scored a lot of points on that play. Taylor misses a point. John Crow re-injured the injury that he had where he hurt his leg the week before against Rice Institute. As a matter of fact, both Crow and Taylor were injured in that game and didn't even let us know it, or did they let the trainer know it, until after the Texas game. That's Pardee and Dennis Gearing. Dennis always played well. Well, he played well all the time. That's Jack Pardee making the play. D. Powell shot through there. D's from Lockhart. He was a senior, of course, out of all of them. We are proud, particularly of our seniors, because we felt like, ooh, that was a tough flick. Dennis Gearing had him dangling. Jack Pardee knocked the ball loose. I don't believe we got it, though. We thought that our seniors gave us great leadership. They were determined and set the pace. That's John Crow, fair catching the ball. Now here comes a reverse play with Lloyd Taylor. Very fine block there by Charlie Kruger. We think Kruger is going to be a great football player this year. That's one of the best runs I saw all year. John Tracy was down there blocking. Just a little late. Here's John Crow run. Ooh, boom, boo. I like that. And he goes on down to about the 6-yard line. I'd say John was running pretty fair there for a guy that was injured. Lloyd Taylor made a terrific block then. Lloyd Hale. Hale sees this movie, he'll probably cut my throat for saying that Taylor was his center. And, of course, Osborne faked the Pardee, faked the Crow, and scored standing up. Lloyd Taylor made a good block on the end then. And as I said earlier, Taylor is, of course, from Roswell, New Mexico, and he's a junior. We expecting him to... Here's Jack Pardee on his long run, or the return in the second half kickoff. Of course, I was very happy with it and prayed for 5 minutes, thanking the Lord for letting me have a guy like Pardee to do that. But Pardee was very mad with himself because he didn't score. I think Texas did a good job in catching. Another fine block there by Lloyd Hale. But actually, I think Jack had had a better chance if he'd kept on for that corner. I don't know what that was there, but we're not getting much done. Well, I must have called that play. This is Jack Pardee. Now, this is what I call old-fashioned, good old country running. And he goes in there for the score, and things are looking up. But not for long, because, as I say, Texas was in the game all the way. Lloyd Hale kicked the extra point. I guess that was Roddy holding. I actually missed it. And we're kicking off here with Lloyd Hale kicking off again. I hope that they don't return the favor. However, they did just before the half, almost did the same thing that Pardee did. That's a nice block for some. Boo! Charlie Kruger hit him, and there's Roddy Osborne in to help out. I tell you, when Charlie grows up, starts shaving, he's going to be a pretty good football player. Charlie, fine boy from Caldwell, as you know, a junior, be back. He's one of our captains this year. That's Lloyd Hale back there with Bobby Marks and John Crow breaking up the pass. Nice play, boom-boo, by Jack Pardee there. As I said, Jack was, we thought, a great football player. I think he was greatly handicapped this year. This is Pardee intercepting a pass, and goes back and is tackled very hard. That was Dennis Gearing bearing down to make the block. That's supposed to be the counter play. We're a little slow hitting it then. Don Watson. Here's a very nice run. Don Smith makes a block. Watch Don Watson make a key block down there. That's George Giller running down near the goal line. Carlos Esquivel made a fine block, a little junior from Edinburgh. Now we're not getting much done here, as you can see, and our Texas is doing better than we are. I'll put it that way. But on fourth down, while George Giller, the very fine runner from Hatlettsville, scores. That's Jimmy Wright trying to sneak it over. They're in that 9-man line, as you can see. But George Giller takes it in. And a very fine block by Don Watson. 148 or 50 or 52 pounds, and he blocked the end very well. Now, I think this we're just trying to run the clock out here. It's not a very good way to run it out. I'll say now this is the way what we think's the proper way to run the clock out. In any event, we are very, very happy, and we're happy to have been associated with this group of kids. And I wish we had some pictures of the dressing room scene, because after all, that's the sweetest music in the world, is singing in the dressing room. And you can look up at the scoreboard and see something like that, particularly at Memorial Stadium. I hope and pray that it won't be another 40 years or 34 years or even 4 years.